I'm sure that most of you have had some conversations with your families and friends around school, colleges and universities and gaps that we believe they have. These gaps and feedback often tends to be around, I wish they had prepared us for the real world better, helped us with this transition into the new life chapter, helped us understand finances, tax system, expenses, dealing with people, dealing with tricky situations, mental health and well-being. This is something I have certainly discussed with my own family and friends, and this list can go on. I'm sure that you have more to add to this list, that you have your own feedback and how you feel about this. But the main reason as to why I started this channel in the first place is to bridge some of these gaps, give you some ideas, bring you closer to relevant information that I also genuinely believe schools, colleges, universities don't give to us, that we are often left on our own to our own devices to figure out. Therefore, the main difference between school and work is school is all about I will wait for instructions and then I will follow those instructions. And work is all about I will figure it out. You have to go from being reactive to proactive, and you have to consider changing your behaviors as a result of it. And this is something that Gorik Ung talks about in his book, The Unspoken Rules. As Gorik mentions in his book, school is like a conveyor belt. All we have to do is turn up, do well in tests and exams, and we will certainly move forward. When it comes to work, work is very different to school. Work is something that I define as do-it-yourself project, an enigma, a wild place that you are in control as to what you want to do with it, how you want to behave, and how far you want to push it. So this is all about how you lead yourself, how you behave, how you turn up, how you show up, and it's entirely in your hands. So the purpose of this video is to help you address this gap, this transition into working world where you have to figure it out. You are not on your own. If you are struggling and you don't know where to start from, certainly if you grab yourself a copy of Gorik's book, The Unspoken Rules, this is a great starting point, including other materials, including my videos and my channel. We'll certainly be talking about this from time to time. Gorik in his book talks about a 3C framework, which will really help you understand what this gap is all about. 3C framework stands for competence, commitment, compatibility. Competence is about, can you do the job well? Are you competent? Commitment is about, are you excited to be here? Are you committed? Compatibility is all about, do you get along with us? Are you compatible? As you can see, this is a very easy framework, easy to understand, easy to apply in our real life situations that will help us with this transition from school to work. Gorik also provides more information. If you are competent, you will be given more responsibilities. If you are committed, people will invest in you. If you are compatible, people will want to work with you. So this is all about shifting our mindset. It's not about having a job, earning money, having a manager. There is more to it. It's certainly preparing ourselves for the new world, understanding how to manage it, understanding how to manage ourselves and other people, and as with everything, it's a journey. So what you're very lucky to experience in this transition from school to work is personal growth. You will come across lots of new situations that may feel difficult at times, and you may think you can't cope or you can't do well, but with everything, learning journeys is often up and down, and learning process is often a difficult and painful process. But then one day it all sinks in quite nicely. It's like pieces of puzzle being put together, and then it should all make sense. And that's, to me, personal growth. Another example I would like to touch on in this video is this difference between university and work. So at university, we are given a list of lectures, dates, where they are, who is leading on them, subjects that we will talk about, assignments, tests and exams, and a point of contact. So again, another list of instructions that we have to follow. When it comes to work, as I mentioned earlier, there is really no script, there is no manual. It is entirely up to you as to how you manage. So you go through all sorts of job interviews, and there is so much information out there on how to get a job, but not what to do when you actually start in your first job. So you may turn up on day one and you may not get everything fully structured with lists of instructions and what you need to do. Working is a two-way process, and managers sometimes can be super vague, in which case, if they're not giving you everything you then need to ask relevant questions to make sure you understand what you need to do. So this is where your communication style will certainly be tested. My top tip is not to rely on managers to tell you everything. It is a two-way process. Everyone has their own unique working style and expectations. So you need to own this for yourself and really learn how to manage your manager to give you what you need. They may not know what you need, and some managers are more proactive than others, and they're very mindful as to what they share with you. But if they're not giving you what you need, rather than you overthink or moan about it in the background, the best tip is to pull together a list of questions you need to get answers to and have a meeting with your manager to provide relevant clarity and guidance where you feel it's needed. I would like to share with you 6 things that you can do now to feel you are in control of this transition into the working world. Prove that you're curious. You need to understand what is expected from you from day one and what you are evaluated on. It is quite important to talk about successes and what you need to do in order to do well. Are you clear on your job goals and success matrix? If you aren't, you need to discuss this with your manager. Make sure you write down everything you're not clear about, from goals, objectives to key performance indicators and behaviors, and then talk to your manager about it to understand what you need to do. Prove that you are self-aware. It's always important to be open to feedback and proactively seek feedback early on, and also work on your own blind spots. Top talented employees are always learning and adjusting and always seeking feedback from their managers, peers, customers and clients. In fact, this makes it super easy to manage them because managers don't have to feel awkward to give them some feedback. If someone proactively says, "It's been a couple of weeks, I've been working on this project, how do you think I'm doing?" that means you're opening the doors for that feedback, and it's easy for managers to actually comment on the good and not so good aspects and where you can do better to improve, rather than tell you once a year what that feedback is. Prove that you're open to learning. Focus on bridging your gaps and learning. This one is all about focusing on bridging your gaps and learning. It is quite important to understand what skills and competencies you need to have in your roles. You can rate yourself, you can play around with this list, you can do it on your own, you can do it with a trusted friend or a colleague, someone you're comfortable with, and rate yourself. It could be between 1 and 5, and let's say if your job is a consultant and you are quite comfortable when it comes to technical side of the product you are selling, that means you could rate yourself 5. But let's say you may struggle with the difficult situations where that negotiation part is not going well, you may have to rate yourself a 2 because that's something you need to work on. Prove that you're willing. I would discourage you from saying, "This is not part of my role." It will not look good when it comes to any type of assessment. This is often viewed as negative behavior. It is quite important to be known outside your own role and your own team. Increase your visibility with everyone you work with, volunteer for initiatives, suggest ideas, and make sure that you're adding value. This is the way to get noticed and get mentioned even when you're not in the room. Prove that you're proactive in your role. And you can do that by keeping an eye on latest trends, looking at what's going on in your sector and industry and competitors, bringing that data and insight to your team management meetings or to your manager will be hugely appreciated. Prove that you're open to socialize. It's quite important to find your work allies and mentors. Work allies are people who are there for you, to champion for you and mention you in good light when you're not in the room. Mentors are people who you absolutely want to be like or want to learn from because you love the way they come across or the way they manage their career. So how can you socialize at work if you have an opportunity to go to any team gatherings? If you're not sure how to socialize virtually or in person, if there is a team gathering or a social event, my suggestion is that you turn up with a list of questions and ask people, for example, what do you do? How did you end up here? What did you do before? People, in my own experience, like to talk about themselves. It demonstrates you're interested in them and they will remember that conversation in a positive light. The following day, you can send them an email and say how you enjoyed the conversation and that you would like to stay in contact. And that's an opportunity for you to broaden your network and potentially ask them to mentor you in the longer run. That's it for this video. I hope you've enjoyed it and learned something new. Let me know in comments if you have any feedback. Thank you for watching my video. You can also subscribe on my website, where I will be blogging every week and sending newsletters every Sunday with useful information and toolkits templates from time to time. Bye for now.